We are on our way to Lexington, Kentucky. The whole fam-damlies here. All we're missing is Ellie Mae and Granny on the roof with a rocking chair. For those of you who are a little younger, you may have missed a reference to the Beverly Hillbillies. We are taking 3 horses. You can see the trailer in the back. Blue Bayou Dio, Garden State Dio, and Unbeatable Kemp down to Kentucky. I looked at my schedule last week, and I said to Amy, you know what? Amy and I love Kentucky. We've been to the sale here a few times. But only raced here. I only raced here one time. I raced Twinsburg, I think, was the only time I ever raced on this track. As far as I know. That filly a few years ago, Twinsburg? Who? No, she never raced down here. No, I think that might have been my only drive, maybe a couple of drives down here, but taking these 3 trotters down, they look like they lined up in good classes. You can tell that they, with such inexperienced 2-year-olds, they went with the morning line odds as far as their speed is considered. Garden State Dio's like 9-5 or something. But the horse that I'm going to tell everybody, and it doesn't matter, you guys are watching this after the race, I believe that Blue Bayou Dio is a horse that's going to turn some heads tomorrow. Turn my head tomorrow, I hope. She trained very strongly at Northfield this week. There's no indications that she's a horse that performs better on a half-mile track, even so much like Garden State Dio did. I think that Blue Bayou Dio is going to go a big mile. Unbeatable Kemp coming off those 2 sketchy miles. I know the bridge. It's in. I don't know what they're doing here. They turned it into a tunnel. They put tarps up everywhere. I've never seen anybody do this before. Maybe construction. Unbeatable Kemp's coming off those 2 suspect lines where, quite frankly, he didn't get driven how the horse wants to get driven. It's hard, you know. Look at the Wawa, yeah. It's hard to drive a 2-year-old that needs to be driven a specific way when you're a driver, especially when you're a top driver. And to tell Dave Miller, hey, don't come first over with him, and he moves him first over in the last turn, and then you see Luke do the same thing the next week. It's frustrating, but at the same time, he gives you that feeling like, hey, let's get going. And then when you move him out and you're uncovered in open air with him, he changes his mind quite quickly sometimes. And I'm going to do my best not to fall for his temptations tomorrow, but I think he'll end up with a good trip. The one thing about him, he is handy at the gate. I don't want to blast him out of there and get caught on the front end, because that's another place he doesn't like being. But I wouldn't mind trotting out of there nice, gingerly, put him over on the front, let one go, and sit in the 2-hole. That would be a good trip for Unbeatable Kemp. Blue Bayou Dio, I haven't sat behind her in a long time, but it seems like she's mildly handy at the gate. But I think if reports are correct out of Canada, I think she's probably sitting on what could be a big mile tomorrow at the Red Mile. And then, of course, we know that Garden State Dio can trot quickly. It's just a matter of, will she get over Lexington, a bigger track? She struggled at the Meadowlands, but that was at the gate, and I had no issues at the gate with her at the Meadows. So I don't know what horse we'll see tomorrow, but I hope it's a talented one, because we know she has a lot of speed. We know she has a lot of talent. I'm not super focused on 2021 with Garden State Dio, but I would like to see that talented Dio family bubble up again, that I saw in the qualifier, that I somewhat saw last night, and I certainly saw from my sister at 2 and 3. So we have Garden State Dio, Blue Bayou Dio, and Unbeatable Kemp in the back, heading to Kentucky with the Clampetts. What else happened this week? So I had Amy write down all the horses I wanted to talk about. Look at that. And what horses raced well. And you know what? There are some people out there, they'll say, well, you only talk about the good ones. You don't talk about the bad ones. Well, of course. What the hell would I talk about the bad ones for? What would I talk about the ones that got injured or hurt? But just to keep everybody happy, I am going to talk quickly about maybe some of the horses that get injured. Maybe some of the horses that didn't race good this week. Horse like Globetrotting made a break behind the gate. I think we all knew there was a coin flip there. Is she gonna, especially from the rail on a half-mile track, George Brennan on her, he's gonna want to leave with her, and he has to. He's on a half. He's got the rail. I wish she had a draw on the 5-hole, and maybe, this is a filly she didn't blast out of there at the Poconos. Matt Kikali just kind of let her saunter out of there and make her way to the front, and she wasn't going to get that last night at Yonkers. I knew when I saw the draw, when I saw everything, I'm like, geez, Who knows? She's been great. Let's see. But it wasn't super shocking to me, and I doubt it was super shocking to anybody that she made a break from the rail at Yonkers last night. Not really a preferred track of mine for a filly that I wasn't sure would get around a half at all. So, but at the end of the day, as I said in the aged horse video, this is Ron Burke's decision. Ron Burke, I'm certainly in no position to tell Ron Burke where to enter any horses, mine or anyone else's. We sent this horse to Ronnie to make the right decisions. He usually does. And at the end of the day, at some point she was going to venture to Yonkers. Let's see what happens next. So, off the top, started with the 2-year-olds. I want to talk about all the ones that really impressed the hell out of me. We talked about Garden State Dio a minute ago. That second and 56 last week was coming off of a 3-week layoff. I will tell you that all 3 of these horses schooled or trained up very tight. They're all coming into tomorrow's race as tight as they should need to be to do well. So if they're healthy and they get over the track, it should be a good day for us here in Kentucky tomorrow. We'll see. Everybody else's horse, hard to tell with 2-year-olds. There might be some killers lurking down here. Some ringers. Saw one of those this week at Tiffin. One of those ringers tracked me all the way to Tiffin with Of Tom. So you never know when you're going to have somebody lurking in the weeds. But from what I can tell, from the information I see, Garden State Dio should be, Garden State Dio, Blue Bayou Dio, and Unbeatable Kemp should have a good outing. I hope. Fingers crossed. But a horse that definitely had a good outing this week was Slim Jimmy. This is a horse that's coming in razor sharp. Circled the field 4 wide down the backstretch. Aged horses, non-winners of 2 company, circled them, made them like it, and drove away. This is a legit freak, nice colt. I shouldn't say freak. Let's reserve the word freak for horses that are extraordinarily good. Slim Jimmy's just a very good horse, and most definitely one of the best colts in this state this year, and one of the hottest horses in this state right now. So coming into the Ohio State Fair next week, Slim Jimmy is looking razor sharp. We are going to make a little bit of a change at the Ohio State Fair. Purple Laura raced good last night, but she felt a little lethargic to me. That checked her overtained knees were a little bit sore. One ankle was bothering her. We're going to opt out of the Ohio State Fair. I'm going to sub in Of Tom, who I think Purple Laura and Of Tom are very similar, but in very different ways, if that makes sense. Their overall game is similar. How they go about it, a little bit different. I like both fillies very much, but looking at what's gone on, what's going on, and coming into the Ohio State Fair, it simply just made a little more sense going into last night, and then again this morning I wanted to speak to the veterinarian before we made a decision. We wanted to make that decision before 10 o'clock when we entered, maybe 9 o'clock, before we entered for the fair next week, the Bowling Green Fair next week. Jason and I talked about it. The veterinarian chimed in his 2 cents, and we decided that maybe for the Ohio State Fair next week, we'll skip it with Purple Aura and instead take Of Tom. So, where does that leave this week? Tie One On. As good as Slim Jimmy looked, I don't even think Slim Jimmy looked as good as Tie One On. 55-2 in the mud, and looked incredibly good. Just looked really good. Hunter Myers drove her perfect. She looked great, but man, she finished off good. And I guess it would be an easy segue when we're talking about Tie One On. Hey. When we're talking about Tie One On, to talk about what her sister did moments ago. I waited to do my video because I want to see Tipsy and Dixie. My goodness, James McDonald drove aggressively, very aggressively, and I loved it. Hey, Ollie, stop. Drove. Well, you shouldn't have given her your tablet. Technically, she didn't steal your tablet. You gave it to her, then you asked for it back, and she declined. That is not theft. No. No. What's that? Hers is here. Is it charged up at all? You're going to see what the McDonald family goes through full time on a real basis. 42%. There you go, Addie Bear. There's yours. So, we were leading into Tipsy and Dixie. My God. Then you can, hey, you play with hers then. It is hot in here, isn't it? I was just thinking that. So Tipsy and Dixie, man oh man. James left hard. And Doug McNair dropped him in the 2-hole, came with the horse, the eventual winner. Those are 2 gold colts. Sweet Soul David, and I guess Sweet Soul David won a grassroots in Sarnia, but for the most part, the 2 colts that won 2 were very, very good 3-year-old trotting colts of the male gender. Tipsy and Dixie is a filly that raced out of her skin today. James drove her the way he had to. I was so happy to see him. I enjoy aggressive racing. I'm sick like that. And I love the way he drove her. He had to drive her today. But Tipsy and Dixie just looked so tough. She just got tired, a little tired. Beat like 2-3 lengths and raced great. I think she'll like her next bout of competition a little bit better than today's. But she raced out of her skin, a great mile for her. So very proud of both Taiwan and Tipsy and Dixie. Both sisters raced tremendous this week. One winning the yard, 1 third in the Dream of Glory. A great, great day. Also racing great this week. 1-2 Skip a Few, always flying under the radar. No, it's not the Ohio State Fair. No, it's not the Breeders' Crown. But whether it's the Tiffin Fair or wherever it is, she was a winner again, obliterating a field this week in Tiffin by 12 or 13 lengths and 2-3. At the time, 2/5 of a second off the track record would end up being quite a ways off the track record when Of Tom and We Go, whatever the hell its name is, beat me. That was a big mile. Now, I'll tell you what, all props to the filly. That's all right. It's not dead. Ollie, turn that on for her, sweetheart. We Go, That's Right, is the name of the filly that beat Of Tom 2:01. That is 2 full seconds off the track record previous to that race ever in Tiffin. A huge mile for both fillies, and I'm saying to myself, geez, maybe I took it for granted. I didn't think that filly could beat me. That filly came first over and was half a length behind Sweet on Pete. And I personally believe right now, looking at everything, a lot of those fillies, there's a very thin line between them, but there has to be a leader. Sweet on Pete is on top of the heap. Purple Aura and Of Tom are right there together in second. Who am I missing? Unfortunately, we'll talk about one horse that dropped off our list this week, and Isa 10 was turned out. That's 5. Skippy. Now, Skippy isn't as good as those 3 fillies, but again, she's set a track record, missed a track record, won 2 races, second beat ahead in a Buckeye out of the 9-hole. No slouch in her own right. So we have had somewhat the year predicted in Ohio for our fillies. Anyway, very, very happy with them. Of Tom, as I said, mentioned a minute ago, second beat a whisker. I guess it's a long whisker. She's beat ahead. Second beat a head or a neck in Tiffin 2:01 and raced as good as she could. She's just a beautiful filly to drive. As I said, she's going to get her shot in the Ohio State Fair. I was all set to race Purple Aura ahead of her. We were entering 1-2 Skip a Few and Of Tom in the Bowling Green Fair, and I was completely fine with that. And then after last night, I said, geez, Purple Aura might benefit more from having a week off and going to the Buckeye with Of Tom than going to the Ohio State Fair. At that point, I believe Of Tom is more than sound enough to race in the Ohio State Fair and come back in the Buckeye. It's 5 days, a little tight, but she's... Yeah, I think so. I don't have to put Purple Aura in the Buckeye. Amy was just surprised too. I said I'm putting her in the Buckeye. This is a filly that I think is good, but I think she's maybe 6th, 7th, 8th best. What we need is gold points, which we have. We have a 2nd and a 4th. I want to make sure that maybe Purple Aura can race in the Consolation, right? I think that would be best for Purple Aura to race in the Consolation, but we can still catch the last 3 Buckeyes. We've talked about this in past years and sitting the horses, situating them in the right place. We have 2 wins in the Buckeyes from Sweet on Pete. She's going to the Ohio State Fair, and I fully believe she will race in the next Sire Stakes. The opposite would be for Purple Aura. She's racing the first 2 golds, the first 2 Sire Stakes, 2nd and 4th. Drop her into the Buckeyes, maybe pick up enough points to make the final of the Buckeye and the consolation of the Sire Stakes. That would be perfect. I like that idea. So that's where we're at with them. Rose Above It raced good, finishing 2nd in a maiden yesterday at the Meadows. And I had said to Tim earlier in the week, I don't want to race him in the yard. He's not good enough right now. Let's just race him in the maiden where he fits, and that's where we'll continue to race him. So also put some decent money away. He always looks woody. He still doesn't look shiny and dappled up. I think on the end of the rest of the grass in the fall, when he's done racing in Pennsylvania. Give him a good turnout, a good rest to fill out. I think we could have a pretty decent 3-year-old in both him and a Mordiner. Talking about a Mordiner, again, got away, I think, just a little too far back for a Mordiner. He doesn't have that 27 speed on the end of it. I think he'll graduate into that next year when his body starts moving the way he needs it to. But right now, you gotta kind of let him get up into the action. Let him up into that rear view mirror, and he'll take a run at them. And I think he was just too far out of it yesterday. Finished 4th, but a respectable 4th in the yard. Sweet on Pete, as I said, raced fantastic. We only have 2 horses left that are undefeated. They're both fillies, 2 different jurisdictions. We have Bomb Hugger, who's put on a display in New York that has been extremely impressive. And Sweet on Pete hasn't won the Sire Stakes yet. I think she's headed there, though. She's going to put her undefeated resume on display and in action at the Ohio State Fair next week, when Bomb Hugger the following Sunday. Hey, Ava, I didn't talk to you much about it yet. I said it earlier on. We're going to go to Tioga Downs next week. The Clampets are going. You don't want to go on the water slide in the pool outside the hotel in Tioga? Honey, do you know it's been almost 5 hours when we're almost to Kentucky now? It's been almost 5 hours. It really hasn't been that bad, has it? Tell the truth. You were writing your book. You were reading a book. You're being a good girl. It really wasn't that long at all, was it? We're only about 45 minutes away. Addie? Yeah, I saw the Shies back there. Addie can spot a McDonald's inside of a kilometer away. Either she has the smell of a rabbit. I think rabbits have good smell, right? Ears, but foxes. Who has the best smell?
Foxes.
Don't snakes taste the air with their tongue? Don't they? Some kind of animal that can taste, smell things from miles away. A fox? Really? You think a fox?
Dogs have really good sense of smell.
They do, like a basset hound. Yeah, that's Addie. She can see like an eagle. I don't know how she does it, but a McDonald's could be on the other side of the road behind 3 houses in the median. She'd be like, Shies. She sees them every time. So Sweet on Pete and Bomb Hugger, obviously. Ava's super pumped to go to Tioga next week.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are. Stop. It's not that big deal. So I think what we're going to do is the same as this week. Next Saturday or next Friday, we're going to load up. The Clampets are going to get in the truck and trailer, and we are going to take Little Bomber down to Tioga Downs next Sunday to race in her 3rd Sire Stake, this one at Tioga Downs. What else? First Glance was absolutely awesome. Earplugs in, 54-3 over Grand River. Man, he's starting to look really good, this colt. It's just so sad, you look at the grassroots and you look at a horse like First Glance. No one on earth could say, nah, he's not that good. He is. He's a good little colt. He's not a grassroots horse. It's so ridiculous. I never did, I started to write, turn that down a little bit, Ollie, please. I started to write a blog about 10 days ago about how I thought there needed to be. The 3-tier system is great in Ontario. I think the prospect should go for a little bit more, and I think it should be a claimer. And I think you would attract much more, you would attract a whole lot more colts and fillies, both in trot and in pace, into that jurisdiction. Ollie, can you turn that down, please? Just turn it down, Addie Bear, a little bit. Thank you. Baby Shark. I hate Baby Shark so much. I despise the Baby Shark so much. So I think if they had 3 levels and the 3rd level was like an 18 or 20 claimer, that would be more than enough for that type of horse. And at the same time, it would balance that out, so we wouldn't have to race First Glance against those 150. What's wrong?
93 kilometers.
What's wrong?
We are in this river for 93 kilometers.
So what?
We're going to get some.
Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah. So First Glance, regardless, numbers are 2, numbers are 3. The horse racing great. Mario has him great. The guys, Davey and all those guys in the barn are doing a fantastic job this summer. And First Glance looked incredible. At Glare AM, although she didn't win, she won a qualifier. But I thought I made the decision that I was going to forego racing her in the U.S. She does not like the meadows. She ended up hitting her jack, up around her jack area, in way back when she first came over, and it's been bugging her quite a bit. She's not going to get around Northfield. I have no interest in lugging her all over Pennsylvania, so let's send her back home. Her qualifier looked strong. Her muscle count was still a little high in her qualifier. James said she wasn't quite as good as I remember, but you could see that it was still there. And I said, well, that would make sense because her muscle count was really high. So Eglare AM, making her first start back in Canada, post 9, not really shocking. Haven't had a whole lot. We've had a lot of luck, but we haven't had a whole lot of luck with the post draws. Eglare AM drew 9 this week. I'm a lovely lady. Hey, let's go to the fair at Northfield and put them in and get a nice easy mile into them. Or we can just follow them in 1:54.1, a national seasons mark on a half-mile track for 3-year-old trotting fillies. Or we could do that. Especially after that poor I'm a lovely lady got parked the whole way. I got parked with her in Scioto, and then she chased that gold filly, 54.1, trotted 55.1. Not what I wanted. I knew what was going on. I looked over my shoulder around the last turn. I said, I'm third with Mama. I just put the whip away and let her coast down the lane. Same thing with Rose Run Why Not. They were just going so fast. Rose Run Why Not was ready for 2-2. And I could tell, I know I'm up there, 127 and a piece, 128. I just moved over and went around that horse that was collapsing on the inside and just let her coast by and finish up. I think she only come 32, but I was so distraught around the last turn. I'm like, oh my God, this filly's been off a year. And she's up to the 3/4, 127. Didn't even qualify. That was her qualifier. And for those of you that are close to us, you know she hasn't even trotted in 4 months. We've been galloping her. She trotted 1 mile. 1 mile. Jason trained her in the race bike. Said, wow, this filly feels good. And then we put her in the fair. Hey, let's go to the fair. Bad idea. So, none of them are any worse for the wear, but it wasn't what we were looking for. We weren't looking to stretch our horses' necks as far as they could go, going for $7,000. No, that was not the plan for us. Where are we at? Jazzy Judy finished third, beaten fair and square in the state of Delaware. She's coming back. First truck that Jim King can get her on. She's coming back here. I said to Jimmy, probably going to race her. Probably going to race her 2 or 3 times if we can find a competent level of competition for her. I suspect she'll find that at the Meadows. We'll race her at the Meadows. Ollie. We'll race her at the Meadows and see. I really believe Jazzy Judy can trot 56 at the Meadows, 57. The question I have to ask is that good enough to win? I could be wrong. Maybe she can't go 56, 57. I believe she can. I'm going to work on her and get a couple of races into her. I would like to get a little rest into her also. Her next race on the books in the stakes, I think, is November. So a little rest coming up for our girl Judy. As I talked about, Mama Knows Best is going to be going to the Buckeye, I assume, or a fair next race. She certainly didn't need that race last night, but she got to tighten it up anyway. So Mama Knows Best raced as good as she could, 56, I think, 56 flat, 56-1. She raced good last night at Northfield. My Jazz, still a little frustrated over the whole My Jazz thing. Her feet are now sound. Now she's dealing with another enemy. Left hind, something is bothering this filly. The vet has tried to block her out. Again, he can't find it with her or yes. So we've switched gears and we're looking for an added level of inspection, I guess is the way to put it, for both her and yes. We're going to take them to the University of Ohio and get a bone scan done on both of them. I need to know what the issue is. I'm pretty sure I have a pretty good handle on what it isn't, but we do not know what it is. I think finding out what it is with any sort of certainty will take diagnostic tools that our veterinarian and quite frankly most veterinarians do not have. But I need answers for both these horses. So the time for guessing is stretched thin and now broken. It is time to find a level of certainty where we can be comfortable and say, this is what is bothering and ailing these horses. This is the prognosis. This is the plan of attack. This is the timeline to get them back on track. And hopefully, I haven't looked quite quickly at the calendar yet, hopefully this will not cost My Jazz. You know, a number of things have to go into this. I'm going to say one thing, which is I hope if they come back and say nothing's broken, it's just maintenance, this is what we think's wrong with it, this is how you need to proceed, I hope at that point we haven't missed the next Buckeye. I'll have to look at the calendar to be certain. I know it's coming up, but I don't know when. now that I say that, I probably should have looked before I did this video, but first and foremost is the filly's safety, the filly's soundness, the filly's future. So we want to make sure she's all right. So that supersedes any kind of stake calendar. Aside from that, I think what I saw the other day was a overly and extremely... What's wrong? Baba or Papa? Baba, where's your bottle at, guys? Oliver? You're gonna find me upset with you, young man, if you keep it up. Get that bottle and give it to your sister, please. So, My Jazz, I think she'll be fine. Well, I'm sure she'll be fine. I just need to know what is going on before we go too far down this road. And the last thing you want to do is try to figure out what was wrong before she injured herself, and if you made the right decision. So we just want to make sure we're doing right by the horses. We want to make sure that we're on the right path. To do that, we need definitive answers, and the only place to get that is at the University of Ohio, and that is what we will be doing with both My Jazz and Yes over the next 2 weeks. Let's keep going here. Tipsy and Dixie, as I said, race fantastic. They're so proud of the job Harry and everybody's done with this filly and how tough she is, and actually quite proud of the way James drove her. What? No, that's not a horse truck. That's a camper. That's a big camper. A big truck. And Tipsy and Dixie, just very, very happy with her. And just happy with everybody this summer. But, you know, Tipsy's a tough filly, and you don't like her. You don't like horses. Compass Rose DC raced great this week. I talked in the aged horse video about what our plan is with Tipsy and Dixie. Make no mistake, she will be bred this winter. So for those of you like Greg that love the filly and want to race her, that bus does have a final stop, and it will be somewhere around February. And at that point, we will be looking to breed Compass Rose DC. That will be our first. We have 5 broodmares. Let's see if I can do this. Capistrano, who actually is a market 53, made some money, showed a lot of talent. Mr. Feelgood's in that family. You got a lot of talent in there. So let's take her out for this argument for a minute. You have Muscle Chrome, super slow horse. She is super slow, but a lovable horse and tries. I will never fault a horse for being slow if they try. And she tried. She got a decent family, so we bred her to Long Tom. I love it. I love it. Next is Stolen Dance. Very crooked mare that I don't know if she tried, to be honest. I don't know. She never got to the races, but decently bred and a Muscle Hill mare. So we bred her. First foal, had an issue with it, and it passed away. We skipped the second year breeding so we could breed her early. She is in Ohio and bred to Uncle Peter. No regrets. No regrets with that breeding. We're keeping an eye on her. But again, not a great horse on the racetrack. Never got a chance to race. I don't think we ever raced her, did we? Qualified her once, maybe? I schooled her in like 2.5, and I'm like, nah, we're not doing this. Dewey Ann, again, incredibly slow horse, but incredibly determined horse. Had bad knees, was small, interfered a little bit, but not bad. All she wore was vet wrap and bell boots. And her only mark was 2.9, but she did it on a track that was like 6 seconds off. It was a blizzard that day. They really shouldn't have raced. I circled the entire field. It was her first lifetime start, and she won. But she's very well bred also. So now you have 3 horses with pretty good breeding. In fact, maybe better than pretty good breeding. All 3 are slow, all 3 in full. Capistrano took a mark at 53 as a 2-year-old. 53 as a 2-year-old. And made some money and had some wins. Hey, whoa, we don't yell in the car. You want juice? Yeah. All right, so we can talk. We don't have to yell.
Just get the water.
The water? Okay. Yes. Great job, honey. Ava's writing a book back there.
And then you squirt a little bit of it.
I see. Okay. Making some water for the baby. The 5th one is Canadian Titan. Now, I'll be honest with you. Of our broodmares, the worst bred one is Canadian Titan. She doesn't have a ton of breeding on the back end. A little bit. Showed a lot of talent though, and a lot of power as a 2-year-old. I was very impressed with Canadian Titan as a 2-year-old. I don't think she missed the top 2 except one time she made a break. I think she was 4th. Other than that, she was in the top 2. every start of her life as a 2-year-old. Then at 3, we qualified her, raced her once. She qualified good, raced her once, and she, there you go, sweetheart. What's that? Yeah, I shook it. And then she cracked her knee. We gave her the whole year off, brought her back. We're just about ready to qualify her. I think, did we race her? I don't think we did. Just about to qualify her, and her knee bothered her again. Now that crack in her knee was in a bad place. The veterinarian was like, listen, you may race her and it may never break, but if it breaks where that crack is, it's very bad. For the safety of the mare and the fact that we liked her and had a lot of respect for her. She trotted in 57 as a 2-year-old, was a legit stake filly and a nice filly. We bred her. So we have 5 mares. Of the 5, the only one that did extremely well on the track as a 2-year-old was Capistrano. Canadian Titan was pretty good as a 2-year-old on the track, and the other 3 were horrible as far as being trotters, fast trotters. Definitely not what the Amish would call fire department material. Because the water. Okay. But Compass Rose DC, make no mistake, pretty well-bred filly. Market 55 now, and I think we can lower that by the time the year's end comes along, by the time Santa shows up. For the good girls and good boys, she'll have 150,000 on her card. Time Houdini was great this week again. He's been racing great for Steve Boston. Steve's done a great job. Steve Boston's always does a great job. He's a great trainer, nice man, and his talent is surely on display here with Time Houdini. After Time Houdini's race good for everybody, but Steve Boston is doing very, very good with him. West 52nd raced great last week. It was almost a carbon copy of when I won with him last year. Kind of, although Luke took him right to the back and circled the field, I left, got shuffled back and circled the field, and was a winner. Shh, don't do that, please. Ollie, what are you doing? What's wrong, Addie? No, yours is not dead. You might lie to her, but I'm daddy. You can't lie to dad. Give her your tablet for a minute. I'll plug it in and I'll let you pick the hotel again, you and Ava. Okay, here's the thing. Ava gets 60% of the say, you get 40. So what you have to do is negotiate with Ava to pick the hotel. But you have to give her your tablet. Cruising in Style was fantastic this week again, as I said in the Aged Horse one. I just want consistency, right? And I have no interest in racing a horse 2 starts, putting some money on the card, and then working away the next 2 or 3 starts to get that money off. I have no interest in that. I just want consistency, and I know that maybe that when I said it like that, it seemed crass and a little blunt, probably bothered Mark and Michelle a little bit, but it's the same with our horses. I have no interest in racing in up and down and up and down. You know, just give me a horse that can race consistently, and Cruising in Style has never been the model of consistency, but he is right now. And when he's good, he's real good, and it appears that Mr. Dickey has him on point right now because he looked very, very good the other day. And then last, certainly not least, was Brave World. Been a good horse for us. We've had some discussion in our group of sending him to PEI. Now, before everybody says, oh, what do you think? It's an overwhelming no so far. But what we need to do is find out what competition maybe is going to PEI, what names are going there. I don't want to send Brave World there to get beat up. I only want to go there if we can win the Gold Cup. Do I think I can win the Gold Cup in Sasha with Brave World? No. The eliminations go for 12. The consolation goes for 25. So, I mean, I don't think he's out of his element, but at the same time, I just don't think he's a horse we can take to PEI. But as I said in the Aged Horse video, it really is contingent on who's going, right? Who's going? And there's always reports this one's going or that one's going. If you give me 1 or 2 names that I don't like, then it's a definite no. But having said that, I think, Addie, I think I should explore the possibility at least. So those are the horses that race great. I'm going to go through the ones that race bad a little bit, give some bad news. That's okay. You got to believe. Yeah, he's still learning to be a horse. I don't really think he needs to be talked about in a bad light. He didn't race bad. He made a break. Yeah, he did. He made a break twice. So he has to go to the Bowling Green Fair. I think this horse got a little bit to offer. I think something was bugging him. I saw him on the track today, though, and he looked better. He looked really, really good jogging. best I've seen him. So we'll see how he is this week. Grace made a break. Her weight count was high. I texted the veterinarian. I talked to Jason. I talked to Cindy, who's in charge of Grace in Ontario. Yeah, somebody's kicking a little bit and acting up. And I told them, quite frankly, I want the blood fixed on the filly. So that's a veterinarian. I want it taken again in 5 days, and I want to see movement on it. The weight count's easy to fix. Her hemoglobin, her iron is really low. I think that's indicative of the sickness that she probably has. So she was sick the other night. She had a little bit of a relapse. We knew the week before she was a little sick. We treated her with antibiotics. We thought we had her good. She schooled great. And I think there was a little bit of a relapse there. So I don't want to see that again. I think we're going to miss the next gold with her. But that leads her to the next grassroots that she can go in without interrupting her schedule. And somebody had said, well, she's got to go to Hanover. I mean, she only raced on a half and she made a break. Yeah, just pump your brakes. She trained down on a half. Been on a half her whole life, and she's as big as Cruz, my dog. So before you start saying, well, I don't know if she can get around Hanover, she should.
They have a gold at Hanover.
No, it's the grassroots. She's missing the next gold because she's... Yeah, I got a hat. Do you want a hat? Where's the black hat? There you go. You have that hat. You wear that one. Put it on. That's a black hat. Black hat, yeah. Okay, we've covered the color. So, hey, stop. So, what we have is Grace heading to Hanover. We have Grace heading to Hanover for the next grassroots event. Hill of Magic, unfortunately, and this will happen, and it always happens in this way. Adeline, I see that, sweetheart. It always happens in this way. It's hard to deliver bad news when you have Addie. Why don't you put your sucky in? I'm growing, the sucky's growing on me again. So we saw Hill of Magic. Okay, here you go. Okay, have this hat, I don't care. Have all the hats in the world. There you go. You gotta stop talking though, okay? Deal. Alright, good. So, Hill of Magic made a break in the last turn the other night. I was a little angry because I didn't know where she got so hot from. She was quiet. She was quiet when I drove her in Scioto. I even run her over a wheel and she was quiet. And, you know, trained great that week, jogged good. Jason Chichi warmed up quiet and then went to race her and she was hot. Got away on Luke a little bit, made a break in the last turn. I'll be honest, I was a little pissed off. Excuse my French. Earmuffs. Okay, Addie, here you go, sweetheart. Ollie, give her that tablet to play with right now. This second. There you go. Ollie looks so pumped with it, God. We'll get Peppa Pig on there for a second, and then that'll be that. No. So what happened was she fractured her coffin bone, and there's no light to be made of that. It's so I anytime I hear fractured coffin bone or fractured in any way, it really bugs me, and I feel bad for the horse. And then immediately I go over in my mind what could have happened. Was it the wheel strike the week before? Obviously, it was not. You know, she trained great after that. I felt we had a really good horse. That race the other night was meant to be a prep for Bowling Green and then into the next grassroots, the next Buckeye. And I was angry when she was hot and I couldn't figure out why. And then afterwards it was explained that she broke her coffin bone. She was quite sore on it. So, what do we do next? So I talked to the veterinarian. He said, listen, Anthony, this is how I'll put it to you.
I saw it.
Yeah, he said, if I x-ray 100 broken coffin bones, 90 of them look like that filly's. 90 of them. The prognosis is good. It will heal. You have to give it time. It will be completely healed in 4 to 6 months. So I think what you do is you go 3 months, you re-x-ray. He said 60 days, but it really doesn't matter, 60, 90 days. Somewhere in that window then, we re-x-ray, formulate a plan and prognosis from that point forward, and put her in the pool after that. So at least you can try to get her cardio back up for next year. Now, to be quite frank, Timo Houdini's broken coffin bone as a 3-year-old was much worse than this. This would be similar to Will to Win Hanover's, and I suspect no free lunches. Maybe a little worse because they said she was quite lame on it, whereas no free lunch, he was just sore. So a significant fracture anyway of the coffin bone. The prognosis with time and proper rehab is very, very good. And what I've found in the past is, if they're given the proper, now from the few that we've had, give them the proper time, make sure you rehab it properly and take care of it, and the rate of re-injury in our barn is 0. I think it's very low anyway across the board, but as I said, I was happy to hear that the veterinarian had said a very normal fracture as far as fractured coffin bones go. So nothing you want to hear, but at the same time, listen, I broke my wrist. You know, people break bones and horses break bones. This was nowhere near a career-ending fracture or injury. It was a season-ending injury, obviously, it goes without saying, but he'll have magic, will come back next year and race. And that is my prediction, but we will see how the next 60 days goes. I know we have a lot of people asking about, what do I do with my shares? I don't want my shares. You know, you can either dump them, you can give them back, I suppose, or you can just wait. Just take your time and wait and see what the vet says, but he does want to wait at least 60 days to re-x-ray that foot. So there you have it. Some more bad news from the stable. It's not all sunshine and lollipops at the stable. Renegade Gypsy raced good this week, but proved that he probably isn't a gold colt this year. Big frame on him. He's doing everything right. There's no reason to believe he can't be next year. But for right now, here in Ontario, he's not going to... There in Ontario, he's not going to trot in 55. I talked to Mario, and we both said the same thing within seconds of talking to one another the other night. Hey, nice colt, does everything right. Not going to trot in 55 right now. It's a grassroots horse. So you'll see him pop up in Kawartha Downs next Saturday. Now, a horse that is very depressing and did not get injured in any way is Voyage of Ice and Fire. So, Ollie, just a second off. Voyage of Ice and Fire really let me down the other night. That was nothing short of sheer piggery. The other night, going in behind the gate, paced for no reason. He paced to get out of his work. I've never seen this horse want to get out of his work. Now, we looked a couple of times at Voyage of Ice and Fire, and we didn't geld him because he was a ridgeling, I suppose. It was going to be a little more complicated to do so. Quite frankly, he was a very gentle, nice horse to be around. No reason to geld him, especially when it was going to be a complicated procedure. There is now. I am going to geld him now. So the next thing he does, before anything else, will be castrated. And he does have to go to the university to get it done. It is a procedure because he's a ridgeling. One of his testicles is up in his abdomen. Now, I can easily sit here and say to you with no evidence whatsoever that, it's probably just because that testicle's bothering him up in his abdomen that he's acting the way he is. It's possible. It's quite possible. But it's nothing more than speculation at this moment. He trained down the same way, acted the same way as he did every day of his life. He's just chosen not to strive to be a better horse at this point, and I don't know why. I really don't. He really, really let me down last night. I came off the track and I said, enough, castrate this horse immediately. So the veterinarian looked at him, he said, Anthony, if I can't feel it up there in the canal, if I can't feel it, I can't go in myself and get it. It's going to have to be the university. And he looked, he said, I just can't feel it. University's going to have to do it. So he'll be castrated immediately, I suspect, turned out after that, but I won't make any rash decisions right now. What I mean by that is, if they win in the university and it was in a painful place and it could have been causing him some discomfort, okay, fine, let it heal up and we'll see if we see immediate results. If we see a different horse in Voyage of Ice and Fire, that'll be bittersweet because, hey, Ollie, it will be bittersweet. Okay. It will be bittersweet in the sense that I could have castrated him months and months and months ago and chose not to. So if he comes out and is a different horse after the castration, I'm going to beat myself up over that. But I suspect maybe the horse just didn't want to race right now. You know, trained down hard and decided racing's okay, but eating's pretty cool too. So we'll see. I don't know what to say, but I am a little beat up over Voyage of Ice and Fire, a horse that I genuinely like, but certainly did not have any of his best qualities on display last night at Northfield Park. And then obviously that's 1, 2, 3. We have 5 that I want to talk about. No, we have 6. War We Welcome is the poster child for ignorance. That filly right there could be any. She's shown it. Won at the Meadows in 56-1, turned my head. I said, you turn this filly around, now we got her. Just went out and raced like a hog the next week. Really raced poorly. To the point where you know there's no reason for it. You scope her, yeah, there's a little mucus, yeah, there's a little redness. Okay, race flat. Don't race horrible. She raced horrible. Sent her back home. She trots that mile in 54 to the point where Carmen Osiello swears she's a gold filly. This is a gold filly. There is no question about it. Okay, hey, that's great, awesome. Very happy she's a gold filly. So go race her in the golds. And he did. Raced her in the first gold. Black belt and slop. Showed up. Didn't want to perform at all. Scoped a little sick. Oh my God, I've never seen that before. Always has an excuse. I'm going to tell you something. You're going to see a correlation between horses that race poorly and have little issues. Sure, we scoped every horse that raced good and bad after they raced. A little bit of mucus, a little bit of redness. You're going to see it. They're athletes. You're going to see it. They're horses. We only scoped the ones that raced poorly. Warwi Welcome's last 2 starts, she had no concrete reason to be raced poorly. She just chose to. She is the definition of cheap speed. 0 heart, 0 desire, and an engine on her as big as this truck. She wants to race, she will. In my experience, the only way to see these horses look really good is put them in where they almost can't lose. So I said to Carmen, put her in where she should win. See how she races. If she races poorly again, fine. We'll blame it on allergies, turn her out, try and get a couple lines on her, maybe sell her in Harrisburg. There's no two ways about it. She's a fast filly. But the reason that you can see the disdain for her attitude on my face and in my voice is because I've seen how talented she really is firsthand. I've seen her win. The day she went in 56 at the Meadows, she could have won in 54. She has an abundance of ability, and just out of whatever reason decides not to use it. So that is why I get angry at Warwi Welcome. You're not going to find very many kind words that explain her output on the racetrack for me, because she, I told somebody last week she's upsettingly inconsistent, but that's not true. She is overly consistent. She consistently races poorly when she could race it good. And that's the reality of it. There's no rhyme or reason for it. It's upsetting, but it is what it is. So hopefully, we can get her back on a roll where she wants to go out and beat up on horses because she's better than they are. That means absolutely under no circumstances will there be any more gold events for Warwi Welcome. There may not even be any grassroots events. He said, we'll race her at Georgian or somewhere. Just put her in the Prospect Series in. How's that? Put her in where she's supposed to win. I just want to see the filly win. I just want to see her race and do okay. So let's just race her where she's supposed to obliterate them and hope she wins. And the opposite, the entire opposite end of the spectrum is our boy, Yes. Yes tries his heart out, races good. Something is ailing him. You would think a horse that made a break on the front end. I'll just put it in perspective for you. He leaves out of the 8-hole 26-2 on a half-mile track. You can't be very lame going out of there 26-2. Only when I start to throttle him back, looking for a breather coming to the half, does he get out of gear, and I almost lose him at the half. I put him in gear starting into the backstretch, thinking if I put him back up into a forward acceleration in the turn where he's trotting great, and then I can just hold him together down the backstretch, try to nurse some more speed out of him in the turn, last turn, hold on for the win, because I know what's going on behind me. They want no part of Yes right now. The horse in the 2-hole and 3-hole are legit contenders in this race, and I got them stretched right out. They don't want any more. Rolls off down the backstretch. I'm thinking, must have hurt himself. Now, we're going to see him pull up lame. Jogged him back on the pavement. Jogged him back on the pavement because I wanted to see. Sound as a dollar. Absolutely sound as a dollar. Made absolutely no lame steps on the pavement going back. We even jogged him the next day to see is he lame. Couldn't see anything. Had the back wall over him again. Can't find anything. So I said, listen, we've decided we're taking my Jazz down to the University of Ohio to get a bone scan done. Let's order 2. So that's what we're going to do with Yes. We're going to take him down and get him looked at. So I did what you asked. For the cynical, pessimistic people out there, I told you the problems we had this week at the stable. Grace made a break and was sick. Hill of Magic fractured her coffin bone. She'll be back in 2022. Renegade Gypsy proved that he wasn't a gold colt in 2021. Nothing wrong with that, but okay. He proved it. Voyage of Ice and Fire raced bad. We're going to castrate him. Were We Welcome continued her negative approach to racing. Talked about her. And yes, made a break on the front end at Northfield Park last week. 6 terrible stories from the stable. Now, Slim Jimmy jogged. Garden State Dio was second in 56. 1-2 Skip a Few. Just missed the track record at Tiffin and won by 13 lengths or 12 lengths in 2-3. Of Tom was second in 2-1. Crushed the track record shortly after there. Purple Aura, second in the last Sire Stake. Second last night in the fair. Raced great. Rose above it. Finished second in the maiden. Amor Diener, fourth. Trotted 57 again in the Arden Downs. Sweet on Pete was a winner again, undefeated in this season on planet Earth. So is Bomb Hugger. We have 2 undefeated trotting fillies, 2 different jurisdictions. First Glance was a winner in 54. Aglarium qualified and starts moving forward again, racing in 2021. Oh! We'll talk about them at the end. I'm a Lovely Lady, second in 54 and 1.5 mile track. Jazzy Judy, third, going for 100,000. Mama Knows Best, third in 54 and 1. My Jazz was fourth in 56, her first lifetime start, of our first start of the year. Tipsy and Dixie was a winner last week in the elimination of the Dream of Glory, and was third, guys, careful, don't hit Addie, and was third in the final of the Dream of Glory against 2 gold trotting colts. Today, just happened. Time of Houdini, 1 in 57. West 52nd came from last at the half to finish second. Cruising in Style was a winner. Brave World was a winner. And Compass Rose DC a winner. All a spade is spade. We had a pretty good week at the stable.ca. Now, Amy wanted to mention that we had a good day schooling also Tuesday. Everybody keeps asking us about 3 Point Blue Chip and where he is. Adding all. Stop right now. Ollie, stop. 3 Point Blue Chip schooled in 2 minutes the other day and looked great. Hey, just stop. 3 Point Blue Chip schooled great the other day in 2 minutes and looked really, really good. You're silly. In doing so, I guess that's like the Academy Awards. We got to wrap it up, do we? So 3 Point Blue Chip is close, but at the same time, we are watching 3 Point Blue Chip. Hey, give that back to your sister and stop being silly right now. This kid. So 3 Point Blue Chip, 2 minutes, getting close, but we're monitoring him. I don't want to see this horse hurt himself. He come on the track. He come on the track Thursday morning, still a little peggy right front. Decent, you're right. So until he is 100% perfect, we are going to continue to watch him, train him, and get him ready for what we believe will be some sort of racing schedule in 2021. Very happy with him. Very happy with Unbeatable Kemp. Also finished second in that schooler. He's with us right now on our way to Kentucky. So that is a very long, very interrupted week's review here at thestable.ca. Very happy. We've been very, very lucky to have a very, very good summer thus far. Wish us some luck in Kentucky for all you people racing this weekend. All the groups, all the partnerships. Good luck. Hope you've had a great weekend. Hope you have a better one.